Well, this is a video that I didn't want to have to make. For the third year in a row, I was rooting for the Philadelphia Phillies to go and win a World Series. I desperately want Bryce Harper to go and win a ring. He deserves one more than basically anyone else in Major League Baseball right now, maybe other than Mike Trout, of course. However, once again, the Phillies have been eliminated in very disappointing fashion, and this time, I think it's even worse than the previous times. The Philadelphia Phillies got slammed in the first round. They lost both of the 2 games in Philly, and then they had an embarrassing loss in Los Angeles. And I don't want people to just blame the reliever that threw the ball away, Kerkering. I don't want that. That's not what happened. The offense has to be better in an elimination game. Trea Turner went 0 for 5, Kyle Schwarber went just 1 for 5, and Bryce Harper went 0 for 4. They scored just 1 run and had only 4 hits in 11 innings. That was worse than the error that ended the game. It just was. You have to support these pitching performances done by your starting pitcher. Christopher Sanchez was electric, and so was Jesus Luzardo out of the bullpen. Jhoan Duran was a little shaky, but he still pitched good enough for the Phillies to win the game as long as the offense had scored more than 1 run. All series, this offense was lifeless. JT Realmuto and Alec Boehm were the only guys with above 300 batting average that played more than 3 at-bats. Trea Turner hit just 235, but he probably wasn't fully healthy because of the hamstring injury, so I'm not gonna go too hard on him. Kyle Schwarber hit just 188, but he did hit 2 home runs. Bryce Harper hit just 200 with no homers, Marsh went 1 for 13, and Nick Castellanos went 2 for 15, but both of his hits were extremely clutch doubles. Overall, just a really bad series for the Phillies. By the way, I don't know what happened overnight. It is so cold in this room. Like 2 days ago, it was 80 degrees where I live. Now it's like 40. I am freezing. My hands are, I almost said they're melting, but that would be warm. I'm freezing. Anyway, the call to bunt in game 2 just absolutely killed them. It ruined the whole series. After Nick Castellanos doubled, I would have really liked to see a pinch runner if you were going to lay down the bunt. Although, with a runner on second and no outs, I don't like the bunt in that spot, especially with a contact hitting lefty up. All the lefty Bryson Stott had to do was hit a ground ball to second base. And then Nick Castellanos is on third regardless. And if he did get a hit, the game could be tied, especially with a pinch runner. So I didn't like that call. I really didn't like the call, but at the end of the day, I get it. You have to try to move the runner over and then hit a sac fly because that ties up the game. I just don't know. I think the ground out to second base is just as likely as laying down a perfect bunt, especially with Nick Castellanos being the one running. Now, I'm really worried about this team's future. Zack Wheeler supposedly is coming back right around opening day, but I don't know, that injury is really scary. A blood clot is an extremely serious injury, and I'm really worried if he's going to come back, A, being Zack Wheeler, and B, if the recovery is going to be what they expect. The last thing anyone would want is for Zack Wheeler to have some sort of life-threatening injury because of baseball. If his body isn't recovering the way that they expect, I don't know. He said he was retiring after this contract anyway. Zack Wheeler might be gone, and that would be brutal for the Phillies. Bryce Harper wasn't really Bryce Harper this year. He was really good, obviously, as he always will be, but he wasn't a top 10 player in Major League Baseball like he usually is. The outfield, it sucks. Brandon Marsh, Nick Castellanos, and Max Kepler, it was awful. It was a really bad unit. They had a .7 wins above replacement on Baseball Reference between the 3 of them. Nick Castellanos had -1, Kepler had 0, and Marsh had a 1.7. He was the only one that was even valuable. The bullpen is okay, especially the 4 guys that they use at the back end, but apart from that, there's basically no one else in there. It cost you all 3 games in this series. Matt Strahm gave up the home run, Kerkering made the walk-off error, and Duran walked Mookie with the bases loaded to tie the game in the first place. In game 2, they couldn't save Jesus Luzardo. So it wasn't a good bullpen series, it just wasn't. And by the way, if your team is still in the playoffs or has been eliminated or didn't make the playoffs, I'm gonna need you to subscribe to the channel because only 4% of my viewers are subscribed and I'm trying to hit 25K by the end of the year. So subscribe. And I don't want you guys to forget, but the Philadelphia Phillies were the 1 seed. They were the 1 seed. They had a bye. The Dodgers had to go through the wild card round with their bullpen that was supposed to be the biggest issue on the team. They were able to hold leads while the Phillies weren't, which means that the Dodgers bullpen played better than the Phillies did. So honestly, the bullpen, it just sucks. They've been a first round exit each of the last 2 seasons after getting a first round bye. They got eliminated both times in the NLDS in 4 games, which is brutal. Last time it might have been worse in terms of like disappointment, but this year I think it's worse because I think their future is way worse. Before that, they were an NLCS exit to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and before that, they lost the World Series in 2022 to the Houston Astros. That is 4 straight seasons where you were World Series hopefuls and you couldn't get your ring. Free agency is a scary, scary thing for Philly in 2025. And before free agency, they have a lot of big-time arbitration values coming in. These are all projections from Spotrac. So these are not set in stone, these are not guaranteed, but this is gonna be what the money is around. Jesus Luzardo is going to be making $12 million. Alec Boehm is going to be making $10 million, but I do wonder if he's a non-tender candidate because he's not that good. Jhoan Duran should be making around $8 million, as well as Edmundo Sosa. Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh each around $6 million. Again, those are all projections, so take them with a grain of salt, but normally these are accurate. Sometimes they're even a little bit lower than expected, and then they go up a little bit more. There are lots of guarantees already, and lots of this money is spent on the wrong players. Nick Castellanos is making $20 million to be a -1 WAR player. He might get DFA'd because he is really, really bad. Taijuan Walker is making $18 million to be one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball. In this year, he wasn't even a starter because he's not good enough to do that. He was demoted to being a long reliever for $18 million, and he also sucked at being a long reliever. He can't even be an inning eater correctly. This guy is good for nothing. He's robbing the Phillies. Aaron Nola is making $25 million, and they took him out after he pitched 2 scoreless innings in the playoffs, so that just shows how much they believe in him. Not at all. Bryce Harper, Trea Turner, and Zach Wheeler are all making $28 million as well, or more. Zach Wheeler, I think, is making $42 million, but that, of course, makes sense. Those are the superstars on the team. Those are the guys that you want to pay. Baseball Reference projects them having a $280 million payroll before making any moves next year. That puts them over $30 million over the luxury tax, again, before adding anything. That is a big problem for Philly, especially when you look at who their free agents are along with their projected market value as well. JT Realmuto is gone. He's projected to make $12 million, which I think is low because catchers are always overpaid. Kyle Schwarber is projected to make $25 million, which I think is a massive underpay. I think he's going to make almost $35 million per season, if not more, even though he is just a DH. 55 homers is going to play in the open market. It's just going to. David Robertson, that's not a big deal. They can get another reliever, but still, they do have to pay $6 million for another reliever. Ranger Suárez is a major postseason performer. He's gone. His market value is projected to be at $27 million. But again, I think because of the playoff dominance and just the overall consistency of Rangers' play, I think he might get more than 27 as well. These are valuable positions that they're losing. Starting pitcher, catcher, reliever, this is what teams pay for. Jordan Romano, thank God he's gone for Phillies fans. I mean, that might be the greatest news that you guys have heard in the last 24 hours. Jordan Romano will not be returning because he's a free agent. Thank goodness. And Matt Strahm and Jose Alvarado both have options. I'm not sure if the Phillies are going to accept those options. If they don't, they can save around $15 million. But again, they would need to go out and get 2 more back-end relievers when they already lost a middle reliever in David Robertson. I don't know, it's not a good free agency class. If they can't bring back Schwarber, that offense is not good, and it's already not that amazing with him. They have a lot of holes in that roster, especially offensively, where guys just aren't that good. at hitting. Kyle Schwarber is one of the guys that is good at hitting baseballs, but he's going to be one of the most sought after players in all of free agency. Teams like the Red Sox, I don't know, the Red Sox, other teams are going to be in on Kyle Schwarber, and you're not going to get him for a discount like you did last time. You're not going to get him for $20 million. It's just not going to happen. Kyle Schwarber will be sought after, and the 55 home runs will make him an overpay for some team. Some team is going to pay for that. And if they do bring back Kyle Schwarber, there's almost no way that they bring back Ranger Suárez as well, right? And if they bring back both of them, then they're not doing anything else. They're not going to have enough money to add anything else. They're going to already be at like Mets level payroll, and it's unsustainable. Even the Yankees owner said that $300 million payrolls aren't sustainable. Now, Andrew Painter, who's their #1 prospect and a starting pitcher prospect, he could come up and replace Ranger Suárez. That's definitely a possibility. And if they bring back Kyle Schwarber, they might be able to add a little bit more along with Painter and then just replace Ranger Suárez with Painter. I don't know though, I don't think that that really improves the team. It might improve the team's ceiling, but the floor is definitely significantly lower. They traded away a lot of talent as well, especially during this trade deadline. They traded away catching prospects for Duran, which makes a lot of sense, but now they need a catcher, and they don't have JT Realmuto. Their backup catcher this year was Rafael Marchand. There's no way he's going to be the starting catcher in Philly next year, so they're going to have to pay somebody if it's not JT Realmuto. Or they're going to have to trade for somebody young, but they don't have prospects because they traded them all away. They also have to add to the bullpen. It's not enough. There's not enough firepower in that bullpen. Obviously at closer they're set. Everywhere else they're not. And Dave Dombrowski is a good general manager. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's a bad general manager, but this is the Dave Dombrowski experience. We saw it with the Red Sox from 2016 to 2018. It's just the Red Sox actually won the World Series in 2018. He opened a 4-year window where in 2016 they won the division, got bounced in the first round. In 2017, the Red Sox won the division, they got bounced in the first round. In 2018, they won the division, they went on and won the World Series easily. But then in 2019, they tried one more year with that window being open before Mookie Betts was a free agent. They didn't even make the playoffs, fired Dave Dombrowski, and that was the end of that window. That was it. It was a 4-year plan that Dave Dombrowski had with the Boston Red Sox. How many years did I just say Philly's been in the playoffs and disappointed? 1, 2, 3, 4 years. And now they're losing one of their key players in Kyle Schwarber. This feels very, very similar to the 2016 through 2019 Boston Red Sox. And if that's the case, Dave Dombrowski might be looking at his way out soon, and Kyle Schwarber might be headed somewhere else. The Phillies sold out their future for a World Series in a 4-year window, but they didn't win a World Series like the Red Sox did. This is my big concern with the Philadelphia Phillies. They sold out their farm system, they ignored the bullpen, and then it cost them everything because they didn't win the World Series. I'm not saying that they're not going to try one more year. Maybe their 4-year plan turns into a 5 or 6-year plan. Maybe they had a 5 or 6-year plan the whole time. But they signed Kyle Schwarber to a 4-year deal. Why? They had a 4-year window. That was their window. It just closed. They can reopen it by extending Kyle Schwarber, but I think their window just closed, and I'm concerned about that because I really want Bryce Harper to win a World Series with Philadelphia. But I'm not sure when the next time their window's going to open. Like with the Boston Red Sox, from 2019 basically up until now in 2025, there was a 6-year gap between real competing because Dave Dombrowski ruined the farm system so badly. It is very hard to rebuild in baseball if your farm system is bottom tier. And that's what the Phillies are, it's what the Red Sox were in 2019, and now Dave Dombrowski might be on his way out because he's not a prospect guy. And again, losing Kyle Schwarber is like losing the core of this team in my opinion. He's going to be a premier target on the open market. The Phillies window closes if they don't bring him back, in my opinion, and I always thought that going into this specific season, it was a last dance for this current Phillies roster. Can they retool? Yeah. Can they be a good team next year? Of course. But are they going to be a true World Series contender again like they have been each of the last 4 seasons? I don't think so, because I don't think they're going to keep Kyle Schwarber, and I don't think that they're going to be able to reopen the window the way that they want to. They blew it again, and this time I think it's worse than ever. The path used to be obvious. It's not obvious anymore. I don't know where the improvements can come from. The roster just isn't constructed in the way that you would want it to be, and I'm really concerned about the future of the Philadelphia Phillies. I really am.